Hi everybody, it's Amanda with Fallside Loops. Today I'm going to show you how to do a super simple twisted headband. This headband takes no time at all. You can use your scrap yarn, you could use a new ball of yarn, see how many you could get out of one skein. But this is a super simple pattern that I made the other day actually, just to use up some of my yarn. So I will go over what you need as far as materials, and then let's get to it. Okay, so first of all, yes, you'll need yarn. This is Yarn Bee in the color Bluestone. It's a number weight 4 yarn, and this skein has 252 yards. This is mostly acrylic, but it also has polyamide in it. This is just a ball that I have, and I love the color, so I thought, why not do the tutorial in this today. Of course, you will need a hook. Now, I typically crochet tight, so I, for the most part, always use a size 6mm crochet hook. Now, you can go based off of what the yarn says, and this one says it requires a 5.5. So if you have a loose tension, I would definitely go with maybe what the yarn says or go even down a hook size. If you have a tight tension like me, go up a hook size from whatever the recommended yarn label says. And then you'll need a darning needle, and then you just need a pair of scissors just to cut any ends. We are going to leave a long end so we can sew the front of the headband together. So I will note that in the pattern when we get to the right part in the video, but grab your stuff, let's get started. We're gonna make a slip knot. If you don't know how to make a slip knot, I will do a quick example of how I make mine. I just take my yarn, so my tail is here, my working yarn is on this side. I'm gonna take it, wrap it around my thumb, grab that, and I'm going to go back down on my working yarn and pull that up. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with a chain 70. Now this is based off an adult sized circumference, so that's about 22 inches is the average size. If you wanna make this headband in any other size, all you need to do is chain your chain and put it around your head, and then make sure you make your chain to where it's not going too loose, because if you make this too loose, when you put it on your head and you wear it, it's going to stretch. So you want it a little tight, but not so tight that you're having to pull your chain in any way. So for the adult size, I make a chain 70. So 1, 2. So that's how I make my chain. And just in case you're fairly new to crochet, I will show you how to make a chain. Okay, so how you make a chain is you're gonna take your hook, you're gonna yarn over, and then you're going to push the head of your hook down towards the middle of this stitch and pull. I think where people go wrong sometimes is they go like this and they try to pull through. You're not going to get that hook through that yarn. You have to go like this. So make your chain of 70. I will meet you right back here and we will move on to row 2. Okay, so I just got done making my chain of 70. This is what it's looking like. I absolutely love this color, by the way. I don't know if you do, but this is just such a pretty color. You're going to half double crochet in the second chain from the hook. So 1, 2. You're gonna insert your hook, bring up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on your hook, and you'll pull through all 3. So that is literally what you're going to do down the whole chain until you get back to the beginning. And so go ahead, and I will do a few here on video with you, and then I will meet you back up when I am done with this row. Okay, so now at the end of the row, what you're going to do is you're going to chain one, you're going to turn your work, and then we're going to half double crochet in both the loops in the first stitch directly down from your chain one. And then in each stitch across until we get to the last stitch, we're going to do a half double crochet in the back loop only. So what that looks like is we're going to yarn over just like you would do a normal half double crochet, but instead of going through both of those loops. So if you turn your work towards you, you will see that this stitch, it kind of looks like a V. This is the closest stitch to you, and that is called the front loop. And then this is the furthest away from you, and that's called the back loop. So that's the stitch we're going to be working in for this headband. So what you're going to do is you're going to yarn over to make your half double crochet, and you're going to insert your hook from the top through the middle of that V stitch, and you're going to pull up a loop and finish your half double crochet. So that's what we're going to be doing down the whole row, is just making a half double crochet in each stitch across until we reach the last stitch. And I will work on that off camera and meet back up with you when I'm almost there. When you end the row, you want to make sure that you go through the last stitch, which is right here. So I'm going to go through both loops of that stitch, complete my half double crochet, and then that is the end of row 2. We got this kind of ribbing thing going on, and that's all that I do with this headband to give it a little bit of a texture, but make it super simple and super quick. A great yarn stash buster, like I mentioned before. But I also have to mention, I must be on a blue kick right now. I know you're here for the tutorial, but I digress. I'm matching today, and I didn't even notice I did that before I started the tutorial. Anyways, let's get back into the tutorial. So from row 3 to row 12, you're going to repeat row 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and we're going to go back this way. So that's all we're doing essentially in this twisted headband, is we're going back and forth, half double crocheting in the back loop only besides your first and your last stitch. And yeah, I mean, super simple, super quick. It uses yarn, but it's not a yarn hog. So this would be a great quick gift to make someone, or if you want to whip up something for yourself, whatever you want to do, this is a really good project for that. And I really do think it's super simple, but it looks super stylish. So let me show you what to do, and then I will meet you back at row 12. Now, if you do want your headband to be wider, you will add more rows. If you want it to be a little bit slimmer, you will add less rows. Now, if you're going to do one on a baby, since you have less stitches, your width is it's going to get wider quicker. So the only thing that I can suggest, you don't want it too wide, because the twist we're going to make in the front, if you have it too wide, it does get a little bit bulkier in the front. So that's just my little tip. But the cool thing about this is you can make it however you want. If you like that big, chunky, bulky looking headband, twisted headband, you go for it and you do it. That's just what I found that I like on my headbands. I like it a little less bulky in the front. But the fun part about this is it's so, you can alternate this to fit how you would like the design to look. So what we're going to do to continue the headband is we're going to yarn over, and remember to go in that back loop. And that's all you're going to do until you reach the end. And when you reach the end, you're going to go through both loops. Now, you don't have to do that either. The reason I do that is I feel like it gives it a cleaner look, and I do feel like it makes it more sturdier on the ends. That is the only reason that I do that. But most people, they just do back loops the whole way through. You can also do that as well. So do what works for you. I'm going to continue down this round, or row. It is not a round. Let me describe. Okay, a round is where you go in around to make like a beanie. A row is where you go back and forth. I got that wrong. I'm sorry about that. So I'm going to continue the row, and then when I get to row 12, I will meet back up with you and I will show you how to finish this off. Okay guys, so I am just finishing up my round 12, and I will show you the next step. I just wanted to go over a few things. You can make this headband however you want, however wide, however long. You just want to make sure it can fit your head. But I like to stop on an even number, so I like to go by 2s. And the reason for this is I feel like it gives more of a cohesive look in the ribbing. So you could see there's one row and it's like a mountain. It goes up and then it goes down, and then it goes up and then it goes down. So when I do the rows by 2s, it just looks better, I think, personally. So you can do it however you want, but that's how I do this particular headband. So let's go ahead and finish up the row. So I'm just going to half double crochet back in the back loop only until I get to the last stitch, and then I will show you what you need to do next. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Okay, so I'm going to finish this last stitch here. I'm going through both loops, remember? And so I'm going to make sure that I leave a decent long tail, because we're going to use this yarn to sew our twisted headband together. So I'm just going to eyeball it. Most of the time I'd rather have a little bit too much than too little. Cut the yarn, and I'm just going to yarn over and pull that yarn through. Okay, so that's kind of like fastening off. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this end and this end, and we're going to kind of fold them in on each other. So it's almost like sandwiching them together. You're going to take this end, fold it, and then you're going to take this end and fold it, but you're going to put them inside of each other. So make sure that they're inside each other to where you can sew through all the layers. If you miss a middle layer, it's going to look a little awkward when you're finished with the whole headband. So that's, you want to make sure they're folded in like a sandwich. Okay, and this we'll go over that and we'll weave that in. But make sure that you're going to be going and sewing inside of each of those layers. So you're going to take the long tail, you're going to find your end, take your darning needle and thread it. Okay, and so what we're going to do is, just like you would sew anything, we're going to go and pick stitches. I mean, there's no wrong or right stitches, except you just want to go on the very outside of those stitches, and you want to make sure, like I said, go through each layer. Make sure you're going through each layer of your headband. Okay, we're gonna pull through. And then I kind of like to go back through this, since this is the top, and I'll go a little bit over here and then go back this way. But you want to go out through a different stitch because you can unwind the yarn you just did. Okay, and so you can do that back and forth. You can also do a whip stitch. What a whip stitch is, instead of going this way, you're going to go through the same side you went through and go through all the layers again. And I'll show you what it does. So it kind of whips around your work. So that's a whip stitch. You can go in and out. That's typically what I do, is I just go back and forth, making sure I get all those layers, because I don't want that to look wonky. Okay, and now we're going to go on this side and go through all those layers. And I tend to do this more than once. So I'll go down my headband, and then I'll get to this part of it, and I will tie that off onto this yarn, and then I will go back up the headband, just because I like to make sure it's very sturdy and that nothing is going to ravel, unravel, come out, or anything like that. So I'm going to go back and forth, making sure I go through all those layers. And see, I'm going to go in here and make sure that this middle layer is kind of pulled up a little bit, so it doesn't get lodged down there and I don't see it, because that will create a problem once you're done sewing everything together. So while you're doing this, make sure you kind of pay attention to that, because it does happen. I have had it happen to me. And if you sew as good as I do, sometimes it's harder to go back and fix your mistake. Okay, I'm at the end here, and I'm just sewing through all those layers. And I will show you what I typically do next. Now, this is just extra steps. You do not have to do this. This is just what I typically do. I will kind of open it, see how I'm liking it. So I might go through and like take this end and sew it onto this end. All right, and then we're gonna go back, work our way back through the headband until I get to the middle. Okay, so I took my weaving, or I took my sewing yarn, my long tail, and I weaved it in until I got to the middle. What I'm gonna do is take the starting yarn and I'm going to weave that in until I get to the same spot. Okay, so what I do is I'm just gonna take this yarn tail, I'm gonna cut it a little bit, and then I'm just going to tie them together. Do about 3, cut off the excess yarn. And voila, your headband, your twisted headband. So let me know what you guys think. Now, this will stretch a little bit as you wear it. And so I tend to like mine a little bit tighter than normal, but you can make yours looser as well. Chain however many you want. This doesn't really have to have a specific set of multiples. You can chain however you want. You don't have to have a specific multiple for this headband, which is amazing. The only thing that you want to make sure is each row you have the same numbers of chains you ended up with after that first initial chain. So for instance, we chained 70 and then we ended up with 68. So every row should be 68 stitches. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you want to see more like this, let me know. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe, support the channel, and I will see you for another tutorial or vlog. Thank you. Bye.